Another 2-loss week leaves the Leafs mired in a mid-season slump. Combine that with a few key injuries and you've got a seriously rough week to be a fan. And not to be a downer, but I've got even more bad news. I'm out of candy. Welcome to the penalty box! Woo! Alright, starting out a bummer week with a bummer. The Leafs fall short of the comeback, losing 3-2 to the Phoenix Coyotes in the shootout. Scoring for the Desert Dogs, Shane Doan off of a brutal Dion Phaneuf giveaway less than 2 minutes into the game, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson also in the first period. After that, nothing. Until 2 minutes into the third when the party for the Leafs is started by Mike Komisarek of all people. That's his first goal in 88 games, drawing the Leafs to within one, and Phil Kessel with his league-leading 13th ties it up a few minutes later. And this is something about Phil Kessel. Even though he's cooled considerably after a scorching hot start, he's still leading the NHL scoring race. And this begs the question, what does this guy have to do to make believers out of the rest of the league? Because whenever Kessel is brought up, all the talk on talk radio stations like TSN 1050 is how he's not a true #1 star, he's a good player, but he can't be the best player on a good team, and on, but the fact remains that we're at the quarter mark of the season, and this man is still leading the NHL scoring race with nobody giving him his due. How many goals does he have to score before people start taking him seriously? Getting back on track, after an exciting overtime period, nothing is resolved, and off we go to the shootout. Patrick O'Sullivan and Radim Vrbata score in the shootout, and that's it for the Leafs. And you know, I'm starting to think it's worse if you lose in the shootout than in overtime. Because if it's in OT, it's okay, it's still traditional hockey and you can take it and get a point out of it. But when it's in the shootout, you're all worked up and you believe your team can do it. And if they win, I love the shootout! And if they lose, it's not real hockey. Anyways, last thought about the game, Scrivens continues to look good. He made 33 saves against the Phoenix team that just wouldn't be denied. I mean, Phoenix was coming off a 5-game win streak. The Leafs could not pick a worse time to play them. But Scrivens is continuing to improve in net. Think back to when he was first called up when he was slip-sliding all over the crease. But now, he's more and more positionally sound and he can pull off some jaw-dropping saves. You gotta applaud the guy for the transformation he's begun. Moving on, after the game, the Leafs find out the ugly truth. Their injury concerns just got a lot bigger. Both Clark MacArthur and Mikhail Grabovski are taken out by an upper body injury and a lower body injury. MacArthur's scheduled to miss a week. Grabovski will miss 2. Well, it's not like they were a big loss anyway. Not trying to be a jerk or put a positive spin on this or anything, but the second line has been the definition of snake bitten. Grabovski and MacArthur have been silent for a week. And I'm not even going to touch Nikolai Kulemin. Although Nick seemed to be doing a lot of the right things in that game, hopefully he's getting back on track. Oh, and Mike Brown was also injured. Awesome. And now we come to the low point of the week. The Leafs lose 4-1 to Cody Franzen and Matthew Lombardi's old team, the Nashville Predators. And look who made this game, his first one in a while. Cody Franzen, hoping to get some revenge on his old team? Yeah, that didn't work at all. Scoring for the Preds, Martin Erat with 2, Ryan Suter and Matt Halischuk. And replying for the Leafs, John Michael Lyles on the power play. You know, I'm trying to find something good to tell you about this game, but I'm coming up empty. I mean, Toronto outshot Nashville in this game. Normally good. But not when you get stoned by the most underrated goalie in the league, Pekka Rinne. Then there's the negative that Matthew Lombardi continues to have bad luck playing on Nashville's ice, going down with an upper body injury. And, oh look, the injury situation in Toronto becomes even more farcical as Mike Komisarek goes down to injury. Okay, so that brings our injury total to 9 starters. It's later revealed that Lombardi suffered a dislocated shoulder that could require surgery. He's expected to be out who the hell knows how long. Meanwhile, Mike Komisarek's injury situation is also severe, suffering a broken arm that will keep him out, wait for it, 8 weeks! Oh, good grief. Although it wasn't all doom and gloom as Timmy Connolly returned to action in this one, not like it matters. But he contributed by freeing up a bed in sick bay and reducing our injury total to 8. Nice job, Timmy boy. Let's try and keep going or else I may end up shooting myself. Getting the start in net for Toronto was Ben Scrivens in this one, and I tell ya, he must have some really juicy dirt on Ron Wilson. Not that he didn't deserve this start, it's just that why do we hate Jonas Gustafsson all of a sudden? I mean, I thought both of them were playing solid, but we all of a sudden have Scrivens as our default starter? Okay, done with that game and finally moving on, there was a small, infinitesimal silver lining for the Leafs following that game. James Reimer is inching closer to a return. The word is that he's 7 to 10 days out from a return. Hooray. I mean, yeah, goaltending hasn't been as good as it could be under him, but it's not like it's our only issue, or even our biggest issue. Secondary scoring. Just saying. Moving on to the final game, Leafs blow their competition right out of the water as they just straight up spank the Washington Capitals. 7-1. Wait, what? Scoring for Washington, Brooks like. Seriously, that's it. For the Leafs, Timmy Connolly starts it off, and following in his footsteps, Matt Fratton with his first NHL goal set up by Marley teammate Joel Colborne in his first game with the big club as a replacement for Matthew Lombardi. On to the rest of the goals, Tyler Bozak with his second, Phil Kessel with his league-leading 14th, Joffrey Lupul with his 10th on the power play, Cody Franzen with his first of the season, and even Dave Steckel got in on the act while short-handed. Seriously, what? What just happened here? And what's wrong with the Washington Capitals? Either something seriously wrong with the Caps, or the Leafs somehow managed to put it all together overnight. Good one! Excuse the cynicism, it's been a rough week. The absolutely craziest thing about this game was that the Leafs fired 29 shots on Vokun and Neuvirth, the two Washington netminders in this one, while Washington shelled Gustafsson with 41 shots! Remember how I said Gus can be magnificent in last week's video? More ease on the injury front came in this one as Colton Orr returned to the ice. He spent 9 shifts and basically didn't do anything. Whatever. And a major milestone was reached in this one as Phil Kessel and Joffrey Lupul emerge as statistically the most dangerous duo in the NHL. Phil Kessel continues to lead the league in the scoring race after this one with 14 goals and 27 points, while Joffrey Lupul sits third with 10 goals and 24 points, just behind Claude Giroux. To give you an idea of how crazy that is, the last time the Leafs had 2 players in the top 3 in scoring in the NHL was in the 1930s. That was the legendary Kid line made up of Charlie Conacher, Harvey Busher-Jackson, and Joe Primo, i.e. players you've probably only heard about vaguely in your history books, if at all. Kind of a big deal though, as that line led the Leafs to a Cup win in 1932 and 4 Cup final appearances over the next 6 years. Okay, history lesson over. Point is, who could have predicted this? I've already commented on how remarkable Joffrey Lupul's turnaround has been, but now we have 2 of the league's top 3 players on the same line? And still no respect from anyone! Seriously, it's like we're Rodney Dangerfield over here. And just like that, the Leafs reached the 20-goal mark, getting there in style with a huge win over a team that's supposed to be a major threat in the East. And what a turnaround this is from last season. At the quarter mark, we're still firmly in a playoff spot, still with the league's leading scorer, and still making a strong push, even with injuries to some of our key players. Leaf fans, I know it's unfamiliar, but this is when keeping the faith pays off. Nothing else to say. Go Leafs, go.